The ETF trading is live. Why is Bitcoin not moving? We're going to talk about that. CPI numbers have come out. See, inflation is on the rise. Are we going to see a nasty 2024 for macro? We got Frankie Candles joining us, a big partnership with Hedera and Algorand, and much, much more on today's live show. Let's get into it.
It's your boy Big Rob back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel. We take old, boring, and stale information. We package that thing up in a fun and sexy way. Unlike these other channels, we deliver the heat. Man, you know, the day is finally here. We've been talking about ETFs for how freaking long, bro?
Long time.
How freaking long have we talking about ETFs? It's finally here.
Time.
I feel like it's a Christmas morning, right? But now, also, just like Christmas morning, I was expecting that new bicycle and opened up all the presents, and there is no bicycle because the price of Bitcoin is still at 46,000. I was expecting the gift of 50K, 55K. I'm sad, but Santa did eat the cookies.
I love cookies. I also, so you might be wondering, hey, ETF is live. What happened? What happened? Well, let's take a listen to what Mike Novogratz from Galaxy had to say on CNBC this morning.
We know how to run a cash trade ETF.
So when people say something could go wrong, that's what you're talking about.
It's tracking error. Listen, today is going to be chaos, right? Because you've got 13 sales forces trying to pull in money. You've got Grayscale, this giant that lots of people are going to be redeeming from. And so at the end of the day, at 2:30, when you put in your redemptions and your creates, there's going to be
You just
massive.
said there's going to be a lot of people redeeming at Grayscale. Why do you say that?
Listen, people bought Grayscale at a 30%, 40%, 50% discount to NAV and with Bitcoin far lower. And so the chance.
Is that the answer to why Bitcoin's price hasn't moved like we thought it was going to, right? What I think we undersold, and myself as well, is, hey, Grayscale is 5x the next highest fee for the ETF at 1.5%. They already have 600,000 Bitcoin. Like Mike said, crap load of people bought it when it was at a discount. And now that it's a spot product, you can actually redeem those GBTC shares for the actual Bitcoin. And so a lot of their volume is sell volume. And obviously the volume from the other 10 filers who have zero Bitcoin, they're all buy volume. So are you worried, Rob, that if Grayscale doesn't adjust and I don't know why they're at 1.5% when the next highest is 0.3. I have no idea why. I don't know if there's an underlying reason for it, but it's like everyone was flocking to get these investors in, all this new money in by offering 0% for the first 6 months or until they reach, and Grayscale just like 1.5%, astronomical comparative to the other ones. Is this something that's going to hang over our heads for a while here, or do you think there's something else to it?
I think that Grayscale is thinking that people are going to stay complacent because they purchased the Grayscale trust and they think they're just going to stay in their own ecosystem, right? Like, hey, I purchased it here on Grayscale. I'm fine using this platform. It went from a 2% fee on the Grayscale trust down to 1.5%. If anything, if I've been holding BTC via the trust through Grayscale, it just now got cheaper for me, right? That's their mentality. But then you just look at it, it's an open market. So anyone with half a brains is going to be like, hey, why would I hold the asset here? The exact same product is offered by the competitor at 0.25% or 0.2% versus 1.5%. I mean, that's a factor of over, what is it? A lot. 7, like a factor of 7. So 7 times the fee, right?
Ridiculous, dude.
And so it's a no-brainer. I mean, I understand their reasoning, but it still doesn't make any sense to me. As far as the sell pressure, I mean, I think we got caught up in the euphoria of all the inflows of money. But remember, Grayscale, behind the Satoshi wallet, was the largest holder of Bitcoin. So theoretically, the largest holder of Bitcoin. And I know a handful of people that hold the trust, and they just simply didn't want to sell because the fees were going to beat them down, right? The premium was inverse, and they had to they would take a loss selling it, right? Outside of just the normal price. And so there was a point where there was a premium to an incentive to buy, yes, and a lot of people also made money there. So you had two things going on. You had people that bought when the premium was really low, so they got GBTC on discount, and now they're like, hey, I made a bunch of money just from the conversion from the trust to the ETF. So you had a lot of people that made money that way, and then on top of that, you had people that bought, but they didn't want to sell because the premium was too high to sell. And so both of those factors come into play here. I just think that after maybe a day or two, all the people that have been itching to sell their GBTC trust version of Bitcoin, now that it's available as an ETF, I think those sell orders are gonna clear out pretty quick.
So you think it's just a 2-3 day thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Because why would you wait
That's true.
if you held the trust and now you have an opportunity to sell it, and for whatever
Damn it,
reason,
Robin, that's a good point.
yeah. So those two reasons I said, hey, the premium was screwing you on the premium was screwing you on the way out, right? You wanted to sell, but you're like, man, I can't do it. Now you're like, okay, finally, I got an out here. Let me exit my position. Also, people that are like, hey, I made money. Let me sell. That's gonna clear out, and then people are gonna come back in. But I think that Grayscale, they're not gonna get a lot of new customers for the simple fact that their fees.
They're way too expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
Bro, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know what is not expensive? Becoming a channel member. And I do want to give a shout out to Anna Maria, who just joined our community. Didn't wait for anyone to gift them. Said, I'm strong and independent. I'm going to get my own membership. So as a member, you now unlock all the emojis. You also get early access to all of our afternoon videos. Speaking of supporting the channel and paying us, want to give a big shout out to channel sponsor Cam's Blue Wire Technology. If you run a business and you want to maximize your networking, IT, and your cybersecurity, there's no company that will stay on the phone with you for 10 hours straight. Also, shoot the shit with you and help you solve your business problems. Then Cam's Blue Wire Tech. Visit bluewiretech.com or click the link in the description of this video.
Big shout out to new people here in the chat. We got a few new faces. Lupa, or Lou Papa, Crypto
Lupa?
and Gnostic, Jedi Skirt, K, Bit Voodoo, Wayne C, 12 Big Dell, Robert T, Drew, Sobi, P9, and Kenan Henson. To all of you, hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto. Also, do us a favor, smash that like button.
Kenan said Ulsa. We got one of my favorite guests joining us today. It's been far too long. He's blessed us on this channel. When we were sub 10,000 subscribers, I put out a tweet. We were, I think, like 60 or 70 away. And then I was busy doing something, and then I got a text from one of my buddies said, "Hey, Frankie Candles is really blowing up your YouTube channel right now." So I tune in, I go back and watch it, and this man had about 5 minutes on his channel talking about, hey, let's get these guys at 10K, which he did help us get there. So Frankie, we love him. We love having him on, and today he's joining us. Frankie, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Super happy to be here. Thank you for having me on. And I do just want to say, we didn't have to do much. We only needed to get a couple more subs for you guys. But yeah, we were super happy to hear you guys pass that 10K because you guys make amazing content out here. So we love,
Thank you, man.
We love helping out fellow creators.
We appreciate all your support. We love what you're doing, man. We're so happy to have you on. We got to bring you on more frequently, man.
You know, I think
2 months
that
is not okay.
that little nudge you gave us kicked the snowball down a mountain because we've picked up speed on the subs there right after that. So I think you sprinkled some good juju on us, bro.
Thank you for that.
I love to hear it, man. I love to hear. Like I said, you guys got some of the best. I always say this: some of the highest quality content and some of the highest quality information. So, as much as I can get more people to get that good information, I'll do anything I can do to do that.
Frankie,
so.
we love you. You're a good man. Frankie, before we get into charts, obviously the ETF is live. We'll talk about volatility in the charts here in a second, but I do want to share a couple tweets and then kind of just get your thoughts on the ETF. Just without any charts, what you're seeing from a psychological standpoint with the traders and how the markets are moving. So here we have from Bitcoin Archive, ETF volume breaks $3 billion for the day. $3 billion. And this is 4 hours before the market closes. We have this. So a couple of potential negatives. And then, Frankie, there is a conspiracy going around. I'm curious to get your take on it as well. So Merrill Lynch, which is owned by Bank of America, is not allowing customers to buy the Bitcoin ETF. We also have Vanguard, $7 trillion in assets under management. They are not allowing people to buy the ETF as well, saying it goes against their trading philosophy, to which Scott Melker tweeted, hey, I can buy the futures, but I can't buy the spot.
1 second, just to double back on that. Pull up my laptop here. So you said Vanguard is saying don't buy no Bitcoin, but they're not friendly to crypto. Well, they are 9% owner of MicroStrategy. So behind their own internal venture capital, Vanguard, the biggest holder, even more so than BlackRock in MicroStrategy. So I say to you, Vanguard, what you doing? Why aren't you offering Bitcoin?
I might have an answer. Guys, you will not believe this. Guess who Gary Gensler's financial advisor is? Guess what company they work for? Vanguard. Vanguard manages 90% of Gary Gensler's personal fortune, worth $120 million. I had to fact check this because, there's no way. I found this article 11 months ago, down here. Gensler had assets of more than $100 million in funds, which are mainly managed by Vanguard. And we know the scathing comments Gary Gensler made about approving the ETF, which we'll go over that here down the line. But Frankie, you think Gary put in a call to his friends at Vanguard and said, look, man, I need your support. I need to go back to Congress and say, look, we approved it, but these guys see it. They don't want to let their customers have it because it's bad. What are your thoughts? And if you want to put a tinfoil hat on, man, feel free.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's always, I love that you found that article from 11 months ago. The internet is forever. But yeah, when we get this ETF, basically, we have all these big asset managers that have obligations to their customers, right? The reason they're unable to invest their customers' money into crypto is because it's an unregulated space, right? So by this ETF getting approved, it is enabling them to, we're going to get this big inflow of money. But the problem is, it's kind of weird, right? Because the reason they're saying they don't want them to invest is because of the volatility, which you could argue is to protect their investors. And it might wind up being it really depends on what we see happen, right? Because if in hindsight we come back here and we wind up seeing a big correction, right? They would have wound up protecting their customers and doing exactly what they set out to do, right? To responsibly invest their customers' money, right? Or their clients' money. So, and then again, it's like, it's very hard. This is why I just buy spot Bitcoin, right? And I hold it on I hold it on exchanges, I hold it on wallets, etc. I hold it on many places, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the handoff that you get when you use an asset manager like this, because you're not really in full control, right? So it's like these people, although it will bring a lot of money in, they're kind of just doing their job, in my opinion. Now, I can put the tinfoil hat on for sure, but I also don't like to completely write off that they may just be doing their jobs, right? Because if we see some kind of a dump here, and once we get into the charts, I can kind of show you guys what I think. And it's very unpredictable with this big news, right? Because we could see it go a few different ways, and there's really no way to know 100%. But there are some things that could be pointing towards a potential pullback, right? So in that case, they may have wound up saving their customers some money.
Awesome. And we'll get into the prices and pullbacks, but I do want to, we got a nuke dropped. Our man, Crypto Billy. It's not even payday yet. Dropping $100. This is such a treat. Love you guys. Thank you for everything you do.
Also, shout out to Dave Digital, $2 super chat.
Can I finish reading this?
I thought you were done. My bad.
Jesus Christ. This is such a treat. Love you guys. Thank you for everything you do. Frank might have to decipher this. Giver's gain. What is there to decipher, Frankie?
And then $2 super chat as well.
Shout out to Crypto Billy. Dropping $100 super chat. Unbelievable. Shout out to Crypto Billy. One of the most amazing human beings I've ever met. So Giver's Gain is just kind of something, that I don't even know. I think he made it up, but we just talk about always, the more you give, the more you get, right? So, because that's what I focus on my channel is I like to give as much as possible. And I like to think, maybe it's a bad strategy, but I like to think it'll all eventually come back to us. So that's what he means by Giver's Gain. And then I'm sure he may have put some other acronyms in there.
Yeah.
I might be able to decipher for you. But Crypto Billy's one of the best people I've ever met.
We love Crypto Billy. He had Charles Hoskinson on his spaces. That was dope, dude. That was dope. So big shout out to Billy and the team there. Also, we did get a $2 super chat from Dave Digital, just a bunch of candles. And then our second newest whale member, Big Dog Chris, gifted 5 Cincinnati memberships. So Frankie, you come in, you bring the money, man. Do we have to split any of this money with you? We'll talk about that after the show. I do want to. I want to get Rob's take on the whole Vanguard and they hold Gary Gensler's money. What are your thoughts there? You think there's some more deceiving going on here? What do you think?
Here's the thing: the people will eventually speak up, right? And they're going to demand it. And if they start losing customers, I'm seeing it trending on Twitter right now or X platform. Move your assets or roll over your 401k over to another asset manager, your portfolio. So if you start seeing this accelerate and you start to see people leave Vanguard and go to the competitors for the simple fact that they want exposure, remember everything else that Vanguard offers is also offered by other money managers as well. So if the people speak with their accounts and their money, Vanguard will break and cave. So I think it's only a matter of time before that happens, especially if we start ramping up into the bull market. We know what happens when you go into a bull market, right? We saw what happened late 2020. We saw what happened in 2017. Everyone starts talking about Bitcoin. People want to buy. So if Vanguard's sitting there on the sidelines, all of these new people are opening up accounts at BlackRock and at ARK and Grayscale, but they're not opening up accounts at Vanguard for that particular reason. They're going to change and accommodate. They're going to open up Bitcoin. So, there you go.
Yeah. Money talks. And if enough people say, hey, if you don't give me access, I'm leaving. And once we start seeing those outflows, then let's talk about it. But speaking of, let's talk about some prices here. So BTC, $46,477. We spoke about this before you came on, Frank. I think myself included, and no one's perfect. I think we undersold Grayscale, and once people started redeeming those shares, a lot of sell pressure was going to come from there. So, which is why we've seen Bitcoin teeter between 45.5, 46.5. Volatility is high. We have volume coming in at $140 billion. What are you seeing on the Bitcoin chart, Frankie? Is there a setup on any time frame that looks like Bitcoin might be for a bigger leg down or a bigger leg up?
Yeah, for sure. So let me go ahead and let me pull this up real quick. And yeah, listen, when I'm looking at the charts, I always like to tell people, right? There's different types of investors and traders, right? I am first and foremost a long-term investor in crypto. I am a mega crypto bull. I believe Bitcoin will eventually make its way up into the high 6 figures and potentially into the millions of dollars. The time frame on that obviously going to be a little bit harder to nail, but I'm definitely a crypto bull in the long term, right? Now, most of my money, right? I would say about 90% of my capital is invested in long-term holdings, mostly projects with solid fundamentals. And then I break about 10% of that out to do short-term trading, right? Now, I am a very, very, very technical trader. I pay attention to the charts. Probably if it was charts to fundamentals or charts to news, it's probably 90-10. I'm almost fully a technical trader. And to be quite honest with you, it works out really well most of the time. I can't tell you, I say this all the time. I can't tell you how many trades that I've been in. And I might get into the trade. I'm holding it for a day or so. And someone runs up to me and's like, oh my God, did you hear Elon tweeted? Or did you hear about this news that came out? Did you hear the fake news on XRP? And I'm just like, oh, my trade's doing well, but I wasn't looking at the news. I wasn't anticipating this news. I simply traded the technical setups. So I'm approaching this ETF with the same exact kind of mentality, right? While keeping in mind that this is, in my opinion, the most bullish catalyst we could possibly have for Bitcoin. So, there's a little caveat there because, this thing could just go super mega bullish, but, we got to keep a level head and take a look at the charts because the numbers don't lie. The information and the data doesn't lie. So let me go ahead and hop in here to the Bitcoin chart really quickly and show you guys what I'm looking at.
Very well said, Frankie, by the way.
Thank you. And it really just comes from, I used to be a super emotional investor and trader and just consistently got wrecked, right? So the reason I have this mentality is simply from experience of just consistently getting wrecked, especially with the short-term trading. People see me now and the TA that I do and the trades that we're in and, and people, they think that it happens very quickly. I got wrecked for a very long time. And I think it's one important thing that I think people can take away from this is, it takes time. And sometimes, we call it market tuition. You got to pay the markets to learn the lessons and, learn how to keep your emotions and your mentality in check here. But looking at the Bitcoin chart here, we'll go to the daily time frame. Now, about 8 months ago, I was looking at, I made a video on my channel talking about, I think we were somewhere, knocking on this door of this key level of resistance. And we were expecting to potentially get over this key level, flip it to support. And at that point, we knew that if we were able to decisively hold support here, we would easily, or not easily, but we would very likely be able to make it up to our point of control, which is the midpoint of the range at about 34.4, and then eventually fill the rest of the range up to the macro golden pocket when pulled from the high all the way to the bear market low. And we did that this morning, right? And we were just so close. And this is kind of the next major level of resistance that I've been keeping my eye on for, honestly, we've been looking at this golden pocket ever since we started coming down to these lows. And, obviously it was a long way out, but we have finally filled this whole range. And we finally this morning came up and tapped this very key level. So this is where I am, regardless of an ETF approval. And I want to be clear. I'm just looking at the bearish case. There is a bullish case here too, but I think the bullish case is covered enough, right? Bitcoin's going to $1 bazillion. The ETF is approved. Very simple plan, right? But looking at the charts here, we are hitting very important resistance. And oftentimes, if we come back here to 2019, when we had a very similar bear market rally, we've been comparing the price action that we're seeing today with this 2019 bear market rally. You could see that this was actually the macro golden pocket when pulled from the all-time high to the bear market low. We actually retraced right into that golden pocket before getting the retracement that would be expected from a golden pocket. Before coming back down, obviously we had the black swan event here before going off into the next bull run. So as we approach, right, my thesis, what we did this in the 2019 bear market, it makes sense technically to go up for that golden pocket retracement. Maybe we'll do the same thing. And I kind of took a risk about 8 months ago, kind of calling for that. And here we are, right? So in my opinion, as we are getting all this super bullish news, I made a video the other day talking about, what happens after the ETF is approved. And I go over the full bullish case and the full bearish case. And, oftentimes when you get this super bullish news, we have some multinational banks calling for a $100,000 Bitcoin by the end of 2024. And, you just started to see all these really bullish news articles as we approach some pretty important technical levels. And a lot of times, this is how the retail gets wrecked, right? They see these news articles, they think it's, about to go up, they get the FOMO, they buy in, and then the market makers absolutely dump on them. And we have to be aware that this could be something we're going to see here. Now, this wouldn't change my bullish, sentiment on Bitcoin moving into the rest of 2024, but we have to be aware that we could easily get a retracement here at the golden pocket and even potentially the 786 retracement, which if we break that golden pocket, would be the next key level of resistance that I would really be looking for. Now, with that being said, we actually do have some technical signals here on the daily, which may wind up being in confluence with a potential pullback, whether it happens at the golden pocket or we shoot up to the 786. And that is a daily bearish divergence. Simply put, we have our higher highs on our price action into a very key level of resistance with our lower highs on our momentum waves. And on top of that, just to add a little bit of insult to injury here, we also have our money flow coming out, indicating that we have money leaving the asset, right? Now, I don't want anyone to get scared, right? I am still bullish on Bitcoin. And if you watch that video that I uploaded the other day talking about the bullish and bearish case of the ETF approval, I do think there are some technicals that line up with $100,000 Bitcoin by the end of 2024. Now, whether we get there or not is another question. But locally here, we are starting to see some signs of weakness here on the daily time frame. So if we print this red dot on Market Cipher B, it will, once it confirms, it'll confirm that bearish divergence, and we could wind up seeing a bit of a pullback here. Now, how far we go is a whole nother question, right? It may be a small pullback before finally breaking the golden pocket and coming up to the 786, and maybe that's where we get a bigger correction. There's a few different scenarios, but I am not opening fresh longs here, right? I am long from down here at about 26.5, and I'm also long. I'm in another long from down here at about 35K. So I'm not necessarily hunting for new longs. I took a little scalp long on my live stream last night. Anyone who was watching that would have seen that. But other than small scalps, I'm not really looking for major long positions. I am waiting for a bigger pullback to come in order to get into a fresh long. If we do not get that set up, I will simply just keep making money on the longs that I'm in. So just trying to keep a level head, right? We've seen a lot of excitement in the markets. And, just for me, just historically, as long as I've just been staring at the charts for many years and probably too many hours a day, oftentimes, when you see these setups at strong resistance, especially with on bullish news like that, it is, it is a little bit not concerning, but, we have to be cautious of a potential pullback. But again, wouldn't be expecting it to go to zero or anything, right? Still bullish on Bitcoin, but just being very cautious at that golden pocket.
It's and as a trader, and I fell into this trap of you letting your emotions get the best of you. It's very important to take emotion out of it. If you're just a hodler, you're buying hold for well, cool. Yeah, Bitcoin's going up. We all know that. But if you're trading intraday or you're swing or scalp trading, you got to be able to take emotion out of it, make the best decision based on what the chart is saying, not based on what you think. Although I think that once the sell pressure subsides from Grayscale and we start getting more inflows in, I think that catalyst is big enough to just trounce any divergence, any this, any that. But that is not here yet, and that kind of remains to be seen. I'm kind of looking at the rest of the markets here, Frankie. We got Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, Ethereum got passed, or Bitcoin's ETF got passed, but Ethereum started pumping. It's at $2,600. We have BNB at 307. Solana's been cooling off, kind of trading sideways over the last week, actually down 5% over the last week, but still at $100. XRP 60 cents, Cardano 58 cents, AVAX under $40, and Doge at 8 pennies. Can we take a look at ETH? Had a big rally. What's the road to 3K look like? And are we at a current resistance level, or what are some trade setups you're looking at for ETH?
Yeah, absolutely. I am so happy you asked because we actually have been looking at something very specific on Ethereum. So let me go ahead and pull that up. And also, I love what you said about, because I actually agree with you. I kind of said this in the video that I made the other day, talking about what happens, the bullish and the bearish case. If we are just going to absolutely moon here, the one problem I have with $100,000 being hit at least before the halving is that historically we haven't seen Bitcoin break its previous all-time high until after the halvings, right? But like you said, right, in my opinion, right, and I think a lot of other people's opinions, this is the most bullish catalyst for crypto ever, right? So if we're going to see the 4-year cycle break, if we're going to see something crazy happen and the bullish pressure is just going to absolutely explode, I think, spot Bitcoin ETFs are the thing to do that, right? So, and 100% that could easily step on a bearish divergence. I always tell people, just because you see these signals does not guarantee they will play out, which is why you have to look at so many different things. So I 100% agree with you. But let's take a look at Ethereum, because we have been looking at Ethereum for quite some time to do something very, very specific. And I want to break it down because it's very simple, right? Now, I'll clear this arrow, and as you can see, right, we have a little area of consolidation here, right? So I use a volume profile to pull a range here and get some very specific key levels. And we had been looking at this level for a very long time on my live stream, expecting that once we were able to break out of this range, we were looking for a quick move up to our next level of, it's a key level of resistance, as well as a doorway to higher prices. So basically what we look for on these is we look for price to come up, knock on the door to the value area low, which is sitting right here, which is simply just the bottom of the range when you're looking at a volume profile from back here. And once we are able to flip that level to support decisively with, medium and higher time frame candles closing above it, this is what opens up the door to potentially fill that whole range, just like I was talking about on Bitcoin, where once we flip that value area low, we were expecting to fill that entire range. Now, Ethereum's in almost the same exact position, although this is just a local range, right? So same principle applies here, where once you approach these previous value area lows, number one, you will see the arrow that I had, which is pointing down here. Number one, you have to be aware that this is going to be a significant level of resistance potentially, right? So as you approach these levels, if you are getting bearish confirmations, you could potentially look for a scalp short off of it, right? But once you're able to come back up and flip it to support, in my opinion, this is where the door opens, right? And where does that door end? David, you basically just called it $3,000. The road to $3,000 simply looks like this. hold support above this value area low, and then begin the journey up to the point of control and the value area high. The thing that's kind of cool about this range is that the point of control, which is simply just the area where the most volume was transacted, these act as magnets, right? This is a high point of interest, and sometimes price can be gravitated towards these levels. So, oftentimes these POCs are in the middle of the range, kind of putting a roadblock to your high. But the POC and the value area high are so close right now that we could potentially just see kind of a smooth road up to that point of control. And, smooth might be a little bit of a exaggerated term, but it would be better than just having your main point of resistance being that POC like in the middle of the range. It's nice and close to the high here, and it's actually sitting at $3,100. So if we're going to see that point of control act as a magnet, and we're able to hold above this level of the value area low, next likely place for price to logically go based off the technicals and using the volume profile would be that point of control at $3,100. And real quick, if we pull up if we actually just look at the volume here, you can see there's actually a significant amount of volume in here. So it actually may be a little bit of a stair step because each one of these spikes in volume will essentially act as some kind of level of resistance, right? So, it's not just going to be a straight shot up, but, we may be able to stair step our way up pretty quickly. But just the fact that we have the POC up there at the high of the range does make me think that we may start to get gravitated towards that level. And on top of that, on the weekly time frame, we do have a fresh green dot here, which could potentially indicate some more upside.
Amazing. Frank, you got good stuff, man. What's not good is this like ratio. So I'm going to throw it over to our in-house correspondent, Robin.
Oh, what am I, the cheerleader here? Yeah, that's what I am. All right, so we do have a lot of donations came in. Frankie Candles always brings the heat or this community does, which I want to challenge the community here. If you're team Frankie Candles, put a candle in the chat. If you're team Sin City Crypto, put an Ola in the chat.
Why would you separate?
I want to see where
our communities are intertwined.
We are
Don't
intertwined.
You dare try to divide
you know
us.
me, I like to stir the pot. So,
if you're both, put both.
Let's see. Let's see how many Olas and candles we get up in the chat.
I will say,
what's up?
The Olas are all over my chat. So,
oh yeah,
we get Olas all the time. I love it.
We get candles all the time.
Crypto Pollo $10, Keenan $5, and then Tony D $5, Brian Baca $10, and Jimmy 20 gifted memberships. And then we got a long list of names. We're just gonna go real quick. Rockton, DNB, Smurf, Osden, D, Maurice, Mr. P, Duke, Zanabib, Web3, Crypto, Some Coins, So Deep, Javi, Ian 10K, Asher, Eric, Darren, Michael V, The Dusty, O-Town, Crypto Ale, Jeff, Casper, and Grouper 64. To all of you, hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto. Also, we have here the special live stream we're running on Monday. It's a trading special sponsored by BingX as well. So if you want to tune in,
we're gonna have a calf cam
late night stream there.
Potential calf cam. Keenan said he doesn't know how you have so much energy, Frankie. I know, because the man is actually passionate about what he does. That's my answer, at least.
It's funny. I do get that comment. I mean, sometimes you get the troll comments that think you're on drugs, but that is not the case. I simply, you know what? You're 100% right, man. I say this all the time, almost maybe to a fault. I probably talk about it too much, but I genuinely enjoy what I do. Like and to be honest, I never thought I'd be able to do this. The way being able to share the knowledge that I've gained over the years and being able to help people and the messages that we get about, people learning from me and being able to better their life and help their family with what they learn on my channel. That's what gives me the energy. It's super exciting. And, I do 2-hour live streams because I just can't shut up about this. So it is the truth.
Frankie, we love your energy, man. We love you. You're a good dude, guys. If you're not subscribed to Frankie channels on YouTube, what the hell are you doing? We did pin it in the comment section of this chat. Go subscribe to him. Go follow him on Twitter. And let me actually pull up your
we'll
Twitter.
Say there is definitely more candles and Olas in here today. So.
Well, that's your fault for trying to divide us.
You win this one, Frankie.
Guys, if you're not following Frankie Candles on Twitter, at Frankie_Candles, there's a lot of fake ones out there. So this is the real handle. And Frankie, thank you so much for joining us, man. I meant what I said. I think bringing you on once every 2 months is way too infrequent. We need to bring you on more. We love you. The community loves you, and we love your content. So thank you so much.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Wait, what? Oh, tomorrow, yeah. That's just merge channels, I guess. Just kidding. Frankie,
Yeah,
we
hey,
love you,
let's do
brother.
it.
Thank you so much, man. Enjoy the rest of your day, my friend, and we'll talk to you next time.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for having me on.
Take care, brother.
Later.
All
Take it
right.
easy.
So ETF news is still hot. So also, guys, if you're new, say hello. Well, I want to welcome you personally. We have a new ETF commercial from Van Eck. That's pretty cool.
The world holds on to old ways until it can't. When Bitcoin was born, it broke that endless cycle. It's not a defiance of finance. Bitcoin may help guard against the government devaluing your money. Finally, you can buy and hold Bitcoin in an ETF with the Van Eck Bitcoin Trust, HODL. Search the ticker H.
So here's my decent commercial. Here's my issue though. If you want exposure, if you want Bitcoin, if you're investing in Bitcoin because you want to protect yourself against government and debasement and this and that, you should not be buying an ETF. I'm sorry. If you want exposure and you just want your portfolio to go up and make some money, sure, buy the ETF. It's more accessible. It's easier on taxes. But if the main goal for you is you want Bitcoin because of everything I said, currency debasement, government spending money obnoxiously, all of that, if you want to hedge, then you got to buy Bitcoin from an exchange and take it off in self-custody. So it's great we have both options, but just understand that if your role is to hedge, ETF is going to do nothing. Who knows what the government can do? Then we have this. So the all-out marketing blitz has started. BlackRock is putting out charts showing Bitcoin is the best performing asset in the last decade. So as you can see here, all but 3 years since 2013, Bitcoin has been number one. Number one, average annualized 124%. You know, the part of it, the negative too, though, is these traditional investors. They're gonna be like, no way. There is no way on average this thing brought in 124%. So you're telling me on average, every single year, I've 1.25x my Bitcoin portfolio. But it is true, guys. It is true. Also from BlackRock, we have I'm not going to play it. It was an explainer video. You know what I'll do actually is I will drop this in the chat so you guys can take a look and watch it yourself. It's about 2 minutes long. It was pretty interesting, but I'm not going to share. And then here we have this, what banks think about spot ETF approvals. You have the likes of Deutsche Bank, who are very optimistic, foreseeing a surge in Bitcoin prices. They argue that the ETF, acting as a bridge between TradFi and the enigmatic world of crypto, will draw in both retail and professional investors. However, there are not all the banks. We know Bank of America's Merrill Lynch is not allowing the trading of the spot ETF. And JP Morgan still remains skeptical, saying they draw parallels with the gold ETF, noting that while anticipation drove up gold prices initially, they eventually plateaued post-launch. Yeah, because they can just mine more gold. I'll leave it at that. I did mention CPI is here. That kind of got lost in the ETF saga there, but it is on the rise. So last month, year over year, we came in at 3.1. We're at 3.4. Energy is down, but the core is coming down. Core is under 4%. Some of the biggest leaps we had, services and meals is up 5.9%. Food away from home is 5.2%. So food is up pretty high. Shelter also a big one here, up 6.2%. So I don't know, Rob, just real quick, are you worried that this 2024 we might see a secondary surge in inflation, and how do you think that affects Bitcoin?
Now we have an election coming up. It's coming up in November. It's going to really start ramping up September. So the back end of summer, September, October, that's when you're going to see nonstop commercials for the campaigning of the not only presidential election, but all of the other incumbents in Congress. And we know that crypto is going to be a big talking point. So that's positive for crypto. But also, you know that the interest rates is a signal of the economy, and you don't want to go into a presidential election deep into the depths of a recession. And so it makes sense that they're going to keep loosening the monetary structure. They're going to ease the rates. We know Jerome Powell said that he's forecasting about 3 cuts this year on the interest rates. Remember, we were up there at 5% at one point, right? And we did have the pause here. We're talking about more cuts, and so I think they're going to stay the course unless something dramatically flips. If all of a sudden inflation skyrockets, hits 8% again, or perhaps gets up above 5% on the CPI, I think outside of something dramatic like that, we're going to stay the course. We're going to see some cuts, and the Fed is going to prime the incumbents right now to up for re-election, so that way the economy is not in the dumps, because you're not going to win an election if we're going back into a recession and there's economic uncertainty. You want to have that. You want to have the economy going in the right direction going into an election. And it's not just a theory. This is historically how it's been going into elections. We always have loosened monetary policy going into on the election year. So,
Which could be negative for inflation, because if they start a quantitative easing and the Fed starts cutting rates, inflation goes up. We're back in the cycle, which is why you want to hold the hardest asset in the world, which is Bitcoin. There you go. Then we had this from Kathy Wood. Listen to this interview with, I forget who this, with Schwab. Listen to this.
Can you give us an idea how much your net worth or how much Bitcoin or crypto linked you own?
Yeah, of my financial net worth, all of it is pretty much all of it is in innovation. Let's put it that way. It's just my degree of confidence in the depth of our research gives me the courage, people might say, to be more aggressive in this realm, either in our kind of funds and private funds, or crypto, primarily Bitcoin. And I would say this is going to be a very rough guess because
sure, no problem.
I don't
appreciate
really.
That.
Yeah, my guess is that excluding ARK, the company, and excluding real estate, that of the financial net worth, it's at least 25%.
Okay. Kathy Wood, thanks a lot for your time. I appreciate you joining us here.
25% in Bitcoin.
are you surprised?
Smart woman. Are you surprised it's higher, lower, or do you think?
I thought she'd have a bigger exposure to Ethereum. She's very, very big on Ethereum.
They're trying to get an ETF.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised she has so much crypto. I'm just a little bit more surprised that she didn't mention Ethereum being a big portion of her own portfolio.
Can only be one, my friend, and that's Bitcoin.
Mm.
We also had Elon Musk. He was on the Kathy Wood Twitter Spaces yesterday. Said, I still own a bunch of Doge, and SpaceX owns a bunch of Bitcoin. And then he said this, which is like, Elon, make up your mind, bro. Are you pro Bitcoin or not? So listen to this. Listen to this exchange on the Twitter Spaces.
Elon, if you don't back the monetary units with work, something that actually takes energy, as opposed to keystrokes, I just don't know how you can build a better system that actually pegs fiat currency around the world without some type of proof of work mechanism.
No, I'm not saying you shouldn't have some proof of work mechanism. I'm saying that, and look, I don't want to, I'm on this call because Kathy asked me to be on this call, not because I'm wish to argue about Bitcoin. And so
No, I still do think that this is an important.
If we get into Bitcoin, annoying Bitcoin arguments, I will sign off.
Elon, if you
get into annoying Bitcoin arguments, people sign off. What was he doing? And then we had this. Musk is open to the idea of using Bitcoin on X. Reveals personal and SpaceX crypto holdings. This is an article from Benzinga Crypto. During an X Spaces event, the Tesla CEO didn't discount the idea of using Bitcoin on X, while Musk reiterated his typically passive stance toward the Apex crypto, referring to Bitcoin, of course, saying, quote, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about Bitcoin. However, he said he is open to the idea of using Bitcoin on X, but he added, Bitcoin is like gold. Bitcoin is not good for payments. So on one end, he's like, I don't want to talk about Bitcoin. And then he's like, oh, well, we'll bring Bitcoin on.
If you didn't hear about it, last year you had Twitter, or at the time was Twitter, now X, where you were able to put NFT pictures, your profile picture. Remember
Those are
that?
gone.
Yeah, that they just yesterday they also removed. So X removes NFT profile pictures from their platform, and they did this quietly without any announcement. And so, what is on one hand you have X applying for money transfers in all 50 states because they want to integrate P2P transactions. Basically, hey, competitor to Zelle, we always assume that they're going to integrate some crypto. But, I mean, the man here is taking a hardline stance saying Bitcoin annoys him. On X, they've removed NFTs. He's not tweeting about Doge anymore. He'll say he owns some, but he's not out here promoting Doge. So part of me thinks that, they're probably going to offer this peer-to-peer transfer of money similar to Zelle in their app. But I don't honestly believe that they'll put crypto in there. At this rate, I feel like he's taking a hardline stance against crypto. What do you think? You think if they have the peer-to-peer money transfer on their platform that they'll offer crypto, or they're just going to stick strictly to fiat?
I think they'll offer crypto, but Elon is a very hard person to read when it comes to a lot of things, including Bitcoin, right? On one end, he's like, we hold Bitcoin. Then he's like, I don't want to talk about it. Then he's like, yeah, we'll bring it on X. And then the same sentence, not the same sentence.
Did the same with Tesla taking Bitcoin as payment. For
Yeah,
cars.
but he says, yeah, we're open to taking payments. But then he says, well, Bitcoin's not really good for payments, which it's not, right? It's not good for microtransactions. At least the L1 is not.
Yeah.
So sure, was it created for P2P? Yes,
Now,
it was.
Cash App uses Lightning Network, and it runs
it would have
very
to be a
efficiently.
layer 2.
And you got to think, like, when you're building out your peer-to-peer money transfers, you got to look at the competitors, right? Who's probably the biggest competitor outside of the banks, right? The banks use Zelle, right? Who's the biggest competitor when it comes to moving money? From an app standpoint, it's Cash App. Cash App moves Bitcoin through the Lightning Network. So when you're looking at the competition, you want to offer services that are comparable, if not better. And if you're making an argument to why you should leave Cash App and use X, it's going to be a hard sell to say, let's leave Bitcoin out of it, especially if you can use the Lightning Network, just like Cash App does. Well, where it fits in what's something that fits in very interesting would be, where does Doge fit in all this?
I think Doge is going to be one of the ones that's accepted as
payment. You think it launches day one?
He's a Doge maxi, man.
But day one, you think they launch fiat?
I don't know about
Doge?
day one. I really don't know. I think Elon is very unpredictable.
It's around the corner. They've submitted applications for the money transfer license in all 50 states. And so
I think they're up to like 16 or 20 approvals around that ballpark. I could be wrong.
Yeah. So it's coming. And I'm sure, and every time Elon kind of decides to do something, for the most part, he does get it done. He's all like, hey man, I'm tired of getting stuck in traffic. Let's burrow some tunnels under the freeway. And
or under New York
boom,
City.
he has the company. He's like, hey, I want to do solar panels, batteries on the side of the house. Obviously electric cars. Hey, I want to make the electric car self-driving. And you know what? He succeeded. Hey, I want to make this car bulletproof. Why not? And so I wouldn't be surprised if, we see, a Swiss Army knife of financial capabilities that turns on with X. And I'm pretty sure that if he commits to it, he will get it done because he has done so far. He's done that in the past.
I do want to share, so we got a couple more ETF things, but I do want to share one non-ETF news story, which is pretty big. It's a partnership between two leading layer ones and also two of the most passionate communities, that is Hedera Hashgraph and Algorand. They have partnered to develop a decentralized wallet recovery system. It's a source from Cointelegraph. Major players from within the Hedera and Algorand ecosystems, including the HBAR Foundation and Algorand Foundation, announced the launch of a new alliance called the DREC Alliance on January 11th to build a decentralized recovery system for digital assets. The alliance aims to streamline the process of securing and recovering digital assets, aligning with conventional Web 2 experiences. This was a quote from Professor or Dr. Lehman Bard from Lehman is Hedera. Said all blockchains need to work together to create a compatible standard across all wallet software on all blockchains. He went on to continue. Already have banks, credit unions, and multiple wallet software projects involved. What are your thoughts on this, Robin? Isn't the whole thing with blockchain is it's immutable, it's irreversible.
Offer products as long as it doesn't blanket all of the wallets or the base layer. Sure, if you want to offer a product that gives the person an option to have a fail safe in it, then why not? As long as I can say, hey, I want to participate in this dApp or in this wallet, or you know what, I don't feel comfortable doing that, so I'm gonna participate in the base layer wallet, or one that is more traditional, that doesn't have any extra vulnerabilities. That's essentially what it is. When you have a backup, it's a vulnerability, right? If you write your seed phrase down twice, that's a vulnerability because now you have it in two locations. I have to secure both of them. And it's no different than having a wallet provider that can essentially recover your wallet. They have a second vulnerability at some point. So it just depends on how much security you personally want or how much trust do you have in yourself. There you go.
Should there be options?
Yeah, absolutely. In the same way, it's no different than the ETF. Hey, do you want to custody yourself or do you want somebody else to do it for you? Have options. And not every bucket should fit into the maximalist Bitcoin custody it yourself, write down a seed phrase, put it on a ledger and throw it in a safety deposit box. Like, you don't need to go, not every person needs to go through that. And I don't expect every person to do so. And I feel like if you don't have the time or the investment to secure your own portfolio, your own Bitcoin or your own Hedera, whatever it is, and you don't feel comfortable doing it yourself or don't want to, then sure, offload it on somebody else. But just know that there is a trade-off. You are giving up security to do so. Now, I do want to give a little love to the chat. We got Overcome gave a $4.99 super chat. And he said, which crypto and people involved does and do the most good for people in the communities?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I just look at crypto in its entire ethos. I feel like, the technology in itself kind of fits everybody, right? I think that there's nobody on the planet that crypto can't make your life better if you were to have more market adoption, right? I think that if you live in a country that doesn't accept crypto anywhere, it can be very difficult for it to be a meaningful change. But if there are market participants in your area and you have the availabilities or the means to buy crypto, as long as you have an internet connection in some way to onboard your fiat, then I think you can find some use case to better your life. Also, we have a few new people. We have Ashley Wells, Crypto Fam, Gregorio, Chevalon, Adad, Javi, Hutum.
Say Chevron?
Yeah. Chandler, also Zocor, Pablo, Trav, Nico, Tyler, BadX, Tobbs, and Yazar Donk Asores. And to all of you, hola! Welcome to Sin City.
Bazar Donk has a sore ass?
Yeah.
What are you saying, man? You
Just read names, bro.
Read a dictionary. Love of God.
Names aren't in a dictionary.
But words are. And letters are. You put letters together, you create words. We have this from Blockworks. Vanguard's move is, quote, an objectionable position that interferes with investor choice, says Digital Assets Council of Financial Professionals. So do you think, so we got a lot of naysayers in our space, right, from government and political standpoint. We also have a lot of backers, like Sir Patrick McHenry, Tom Emmer. I bet you, Vanguard CEO gets asked to come testify in front of the House. I bet you that happens. In the next 3 days, well, tomorrow's Friday. By next Wednesday, I bet you we see a summons for someone from Vanguard to go and testify in front of the House and answer questions.
Are they having a committee meeting?
They can call him.
They're not going to call one.
They can call him.
No, I understand that, but they're not going to make an entire committee meeting and then request and then subpoena.
They can request Vanguard. They can request Merrill
I
Lynch.
Get that, but they would have to There's a
They would have to
calendar
what?
for this.
You know the process?
No, but
Okay.
Congress can't just say, "Hey, we're going to hold a committee hearing."
They do it all the time.
They have committee hearings,
Well, they
but
can
they don't
summon
organize.
them
They
and
don't
say, "Hey,"
they don't
at a-
organize it within 3 days.
They can send the summons on a Wednesday and say February 14th.
I get the fact that they can summons on a dime, but to hold the committee hearing, you have to clear the calendar and make sure that all of the board members can show up. You got to make sure that
Literally their job.
yeah, I agree with you, but you don't just hold a committee hearing in Congress and put it together in 3 days.
You can summon people for a hearing.
I remove the summon. Remove the summon. If you
Sorry, I
wanna-
didn't know you were such a political. Robin knows all the ins and outs of how Congress calls hearings.
No, but you think
all I'm saying is there's going to be a damn letter from the Congress to saying, "Hey, what the hell are you guys doing?"
I would look at their calendar, see when their next meeting is, and then I would estimate that crypto is going to be a conversation at that meeting, and then I would expect that individuals that are taking a hardline stance against crypto will get summoned to go to that meeting. Now, to hold an emergency meeting because somebody didn't want to participate in the Bitcoin ETF launch, I think is out there, bro.
Sorry. Our political correspondent, Robin Peter, with the breaking news. Also, some breaking news.
It's funny how you say I'm a political genius. You're making fun of me, and you're saying that you're going to hold a meeting in 3 days.
I did not say hold a meeting. I'm saying I'd be surprised if we don't hear from people like Patrick McHenry and Tom Emmer issuing something saying, "Hey, you guys need to tell us why you're not letting your people buy Bitcoin. You're the second largest asset manager in the world, I believe, $7 trillion. What is going on?" I think it's going to happen. They've done it for less. Crypto payments firm and USDC issuer Circle has filed for an IPO. There's a lot of hype around Ripple filing for an IPO. Circle was one of a couple of big crypto names expected to file to go public this year. The other is Ripple. Crypto, guys, whether you like it or not, is going mainstream. It's going mainstream. I don't care about that. As long as we have our option, right? The crypto native option. I still have my exchanges. I can buy my Bitcoin and pull it off. I still have my decentralized finance I can use. I still can custody them on crypto. Have all the centralized stuff you want. Have all the Wall Street integration you want. I don't care. As long as you give me the other option as well, this is great. Now, speaking of Bitcoin, there's a lot of talk about, well, who's going to get the next ETF, right? And according to Gary Gensler, and I'll just go ahead and read this here. This is from Gary Gensler's statement. So I'm going to find where it says, here we go. Importantly, today's commission action is combined to ETPs holding one non-security commodity, which is Bitcoin. It should in no way signal the commission's willingness to approve listing standards for other crypto asset securities. So he just laid it out flat. Don't get your hopes up, guys. We gave you Bitcoin unwillingly, but we had to. And a lot of people are saying, well, is XRP next? A lot of people, the theory here is, look, they're the only token that has some sort of regulatory clarity, as a judge ruled that the token sales, secondary sales of the XRP token, were not security sales. In a recent interview, James Seyfert, the Bloomberg analyst, shared insights on the challenges Ripple would face for regulatory approval from the SEC to introduce an ETF. He said, quote, "I've been telling everyone the way I view it is that Bitcoin and Ethereum are off on a pedestal on their own for possibly getting approved this year. The only remote possibility would, I guess, be XRP, but I don't think that's happening this year unless the court case is completely done. Right now, they're still challenging this in court. It is not completely done. The SEC is literally fighting against Ripple in court. But the SEC is fighting Coinbase, and they approved ETF that has Coinbase as a custodian and as the market. I forget the name of it, but pretty much who oversee the markets and the prices. So, Robin, you think XRP is next in line to get an ETF, or are they third in line to get an ETF?
I would say third in line. I mean, it makes sense, right? Why was this spot Bitcoin ETF passed? Because the courts ruled that against the SEC. They basically said you have to make an ETF, right? Now, they didn't say quite as much in regards to XRP, right? Because XRP, that lawsuit wasn't directly correlated to an ETF. But the summary judgment did come out and say that XRP token, the underlying asset, is in fact a commodity or is not a security, only the way that it's sold. So, interestingly enough, if you sell it through an ETF, wouldn't you argue that that in itself doesn't constitute a sale of a security? Because the court said this, how you sell it is what determines if it's a violation of securities law. And so if you sell it through an ETF, it's not a violation. And the courts have ruled this in the same way that the courts are mandating that the Bitcoin ETF become approved for the simple fact that they have a futures product. You can say the same thing about XRP. Instead of saying, hey, they have a futures XRP, you can say, hey, you've already determined XRP is not a security, only the way you sell it. So why couldn't you sell it through an ETF? So I think that makes a tremendous amount of sense. I would say this, though, that the lawsuit needs to finish because there's still ongoing litigation. We did get a summary judgment. We did get the SEC drop both court cases against Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson, but there is still a court case that needs a final verdict when it comes to the Ripple Labs and the SEC. And so once that is finished, which I do hope that it will be this year. I don't know where we are on the calendar. I haven't quite researched it lately, but I would assume it's got to be coming to an end at some point, right? Started in 2020. At some point, this court case has got to end. And if it ends this year, I would expect, especially if there's a favorable ruling, that we get an ETF application for XRP. Until then, court case has to finish.
I don't even know if we're going to get an ETH ETF this year.
Why not? Because of Gary Gensler's statements. If you look at that press release by the SEC,
real quick, just real quick, Rob, real quick, guys. Gary Gensler was the deciding yes on the Bitcoin ETF. Still, 2 commissioners said no. Right? We got 2 commissioners that have always said no. We got 2. Hester person, I gotta get the Muneta, something like that. Umeda. Anyways, I'll find his name out. I apologize, but those 2 have been yeses. Gary Gensler was a yes, and you saw a statement, right? Are we going to see more lawsuits? Are we going to see whoever filed it? And we'll show the ETH ETF one tomorrow. But those people, if they get denied, are they going to go to court again and say, hey, look, Grayscale already brought this to court, said, hey, there's a futures. Why isn't there a spot? There's an ETH futures. Why can't there be a spot? Are we going to go through that same thing? And if we do go out to another court case, I don't think we see it this year. Unless you think, Robin, that Gary's just going to be like, yep, ETH, fine, XRP, fine.
Well, the thing is the argument for Grayscale was that you have a futures ETF. And so what rhyme or reason do you have to deny it?
Exactly.
And there is a futures ETF for Ethereum.
Exactly. So I just said that. So
no. So then the parallels are exactly the same. The only difference is Grayscale sued for BTC. Now
So
they're not going in and suing for Ethereum, but
why wouldn't they?
Why
wouldn't any other
I think somebody will. And I think that the SEC would recognize that would be an immediate losing battle because you could take precedence from the Bitcoin case and there's really no new argument you can bring. So it's a court case they will not win. And so for that reason, if that application comes to the deadline, they know, hey, we denied this, we're going to get sued, we're going to lose. And so I think with that situation, because they approved the ETH future, I think that they put themselves in a corner. They have to approve it. Now, where I think we move forward is the SEC will not approve any futures-based products unless they intend on approving a spot as well, right? Because they know, hey, if we approve, let's just say Solana, for example, right? They say, hey, if we approve a Solana-based futures, we know that we can't approve the futures and not have the spot. So I think moving forward, that's where they're going to draw the line is, hey, you can't be a futures ETF. You can't trade on it because we know you're going to get a spot if we do this. And because of that reason, I think Ethereum's already got their foot in the door, and I think they're going to get the spot this year, my opinion.
Just real quick. So Bitcoin is pumping right now. So we should see, and I got a text from Jimmy. So Jimmy knows a lot of people, and also I was on the phone this morning with a gentleman who's been dealing with ETFs for a long time. Expect at market close for all those buy orders to be filled. So expect the price of Bitcoin to go up around the next 45 minutes. Market closes, I believe, at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. So we're seeing a move up in Bitcoin. It's at $46,800. But I was laughing because of this. This is hilarious. So the European Central Bank said the digital euro is public money issued directly by the European Central Bank. Bitcoin is different. It is a speculative asset that does not fulfill the characteristics of money. To which community notes on X said the digital euro, in fact, does not fulfill 3 of the 6 characteristics of money: durability, scarcity, and acceptability. Bitcoin, on the other hand, fulfills all 6. So way to get community noted, European Central Bank. And then we have this. The 11 new spot ETFs have reached $3.66 billion in trading volume, and we still have 45 minutes left. It'll probably be hit $4 billion before the markets close. The biggest ETF launch for a single asset of all time. And guess what that's going to do? It's going to be on the front page of CNBC, Fox, all the mainstream media channels. It's going to continue to build up that.
And then just keep this in mind. Institutional-based money takes time to move. They do not move quick. You cannot be an Apple or Microsoft or a Google, have a treasury account, and then all of a sudden wake up today and be like, hey, we're buying some Bitcoin. No, you have to have a vote. You got to go to the board. You got to look at, we have to wait for the next quarterly reports.
Screw the reports.
And so for companies to get exposure to crypto, large companies, it is a long drug out process. So just know that we're going to have an accumulation of Bitcoin through these ETFs as institutions come in, but it's going to be a long process throughout the year. But yeah, I mean, traders have spoken.
Record breaking, guys. Record breaking. This is great. You know what else is great? Our channel sponsor, Cam's Blue Wire Technology. If you want to learn how they can help your business scale and grow, visit bluewiretech.com. Also, big thank you to all of you that supported our channel by watching, by liking, by giving us money. We appreciate it. Someone brought up the club. The club limit is not $250. That is non-negotiable. I don't want to hear any pushback from anyone. We regularly hit 200. We're averaging about 350, 400 viewers. We can get to 250 likes. You want the club? 250 likes.
250. That you heard it here.
You heard it here first.
So big shout out to the production team here. We got Rocco, and also Ashley over here handling the chat. How you doing?
Hi, Ashley.
Wow, Rocco. How you?
Rocco, can you give us a cute wave?
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Let's see some teeth. Come on.
Let's see.
There it is.
A little weird.
Love those.
Guys, we did. Mamma mia. We did upload an ETF video. We dove more in depth as far as why the price hasn't moved, what to expect, what we got. So make sure to go watch that after the live show. Subscribe to the channel if you're not. Also, if you are a member, you get early access to all of our videos. So big shout out to you. You're supporting the channel. You get something great in return. Also, go follow us on Twitter at SinCityCrypto1. And with that being said, Rocco. Thank you so much for tuning in. Big thank you to Frankie Candles and to the Candle Mafia for showing out today. Come back tomorrow. Same place, same time. We love you guys. Until tomorrow.
Sin City, crypto. Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I split the game, but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy a dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming hola till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.